what's up? What's happening? Big K Beezy. We here to talk about Meek Mill. I thought this was interesting, even though I'm late on it, because he reveals how much he's made since his Drake beef a decade ago. So I believe, yeah, the beef happened in 2016. Yeah. So the fact he came out and said, yo, this is how much money I made. Now, again, Meek and Drake was cool. They was doing their thing. They dropped the song Rico, which was a fire song. It was a fire song. Nigga said, the girl of your dreams to me is probably not a challenge. You heard me? You know, Meek Mill was the Dream Chasers and all that. And it was always theorized that, Drake and Nicki had a thing. Drake wanted to smash Nicki. Even though they say they like brother and sister. Again, and men and women can have platonic relationships. They were on Young Money label, top 3 artists. I like to throw Tyga in there as well, because Tyga had a run. We're not going to disrespect. Tyga did have a run being on Young Money. We can't disrespect. But anyways. They was doing their thing. Whatever. Meek and Nicki stopped dating or whatever. I don't know if this increased the tension with him and Drake, but anyways. And I guess it was known at that time that Drake liked smashing women, people's fucking baby moms, sisters, wives. Like, he was on that type of time. He wasn't a nigga that was going to really, like, beef with you. He'll just go smash somebody that you really care for. But anyways, that was going on. Of course, they dropped Rico. It comes out that Quentin Miller is a ghostwriter. That gets exposed. Then we find out information Drake, I guess allegedly, I guess it's confirmed at this point that he smashed DJ Drama's ex-wife or whatever the fuck it was. Anyways, that was going on. So there was some beef over there. Him and Meek had some shit. Then, of course, he dropped some Charged Up, and then Back to Back came out, and it kind of got Meek out of here. Now, don't get it fucked up. I always said I was a Meek Mill fan. He was dropping some quality music. Well, Wins and Losses and Championships, those 2 albums was great. But I think Championships is when they stopped beefing. But even like Dream Chasers 4, like, he was dropping some good music at that time. I ain't gonna sit here and disrespect Meek like he wasn't dropping no shit. Now again, motherfuckers wasn't fucking with him because at that point Drake was a superstar, big ass fucking artist, and on every other album he kept going at Meek. You could say like, yeah, he going at Meek, yeah. So again, it was what it was again, and as we see, Drake tries to have that little thing where he tries to make a hit song to diss a nigga, i.e. what Kendrick did to him recently. It's like, oh wow, Kendrick back to back Drake. You know what I'm saying? When Drake did that to Meek. That's where that little saying comes from. So let's see how Meek felt and how much money he did make since that shit happened. Now, of course, they pieced it up like what? Before COVID. Like 2018, 2019, I think they pieced it up. It was before COVID they pieced it up. Anyways. Folks online have perpetuated that Meek Mill isn't as hot as he used to be. Yeah, well, right now, yes. But he's proving that not to be the case. Also, right now, Meek's independent. When you have label pushing all this other shit. By the way, what the fuck is going on with Maybach Music? We might have to have a whole different conversation about that. But anyways, Meek Mill is once again defending his career. Now he's actually thriving compared to what the public has tried to convey. Well, in particular, he's really responding to Charlamagne the God. Taking to Lauren LaRosa's comment section, the Philly rapper did so by revealing just how much he's made since his beef with Drake. That started in 2015. Oh, it's 2015. Okay. As most of you know, it got underway shortly after they collaborated for Rico for Meek's Dreams Worth More Than Money album. Good album, by the way, too. I remember that project. The latter claimed Drake used ghostwriters for his parts on the song. Then that sparked some tweets and diss tracks, namely Back to Back and Charged Up. We can't forget Charged Up. That was the predecessor. Meek Mill said that shit was baby powder soft. That shit was soft. And then Back to Back happened. You love her and you want to get the world tour. Is that a world tour or your girl's tour? Come on now. Twitter fingers, trigger fingers turn to Twitter fingers. You getting bodied by a singing nigga. And he said you getting bodied by a singing nigga in the ASAP Rocky diss on Burning Bridges. I can't do this shit properly. I'm sorry. I know I sound like a fucking can opener, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, you spoke like a battle ended me, Meek said in response to Charlamagne. Made like 80 million since then and still count like 2 M's on the schedule this month. All rap money not counting other deals, he added. We cut from 2 different roads. He's not qualified from working at no radio station to downplay my brand on these big platforms. And again, we've seen this transpire before because I believe Charlamagne had some comments about this as well, and Meek was trying to have a back and forth with him. But anyways, on top of this monetary flex, Meek has also fired back by listing off all of his plaques and revenue from platforms like X. Since Drake beef, I've dropped Tap 3-time platinum. Wasn't that the song with fucking Arnav? Peta double platinum, Blue Notes 1 and 2 platinum. Great song, by the way. Uptown Vibes with Legend from Brooklyn Fab platinum. What's Free with Jay-Z. Meek Mill, I think it's platinum. F on Me featuring Cardi B platinum. I remember that song. Anyways, moreover, he's been dropping some new music like his freestyle. I mean, Meek been doing this thing. I do like Meek trying to be independent because at least he's getting more damn money now. I do feel like, you know, he's on some early Nipsey shit. But anyways, as for what Charlamagne had to say, his comments were on negative. In fact, he had plenty of nice things to say. However, he feels he just hasn't fully recovered from a social media aspect, which is okay, it's fair. Because yeah, Meek be doing it to himself. On social media, Meek be doing it to himself. That's the real issue there. This is what Charlamagne said. I F with Meek Mill. You know what I'm saying? I think Meek does a lot for his community, you know. He's been a great symbol for the city of Philly. By the way, some of his new shit has been dropping has been very good. I will go see, check it out. I love what he does with Reform, but I probably would have to delete my Twitter after Twitter fingers and just flooded the streets with nothing but music. He added, I would only talk through the music because every single time Meek posts on the internet, it turns to a joke. That is true. Meek be tweeting some funny ass shit on X/Twitter. He don't help himself there. I do agree with Charlamagne with that. Y'all was just laughing at him last week because he posted about being on LinkedIn. I said, you know, the way they act with Meek is strange. Also, Meek, I feel like he just be saying shit off the top of his head, which I do appreciate. At least it shows he's a real person. Anyways, I agree with Meek. The propaganda against Meek is strange, and it started with that battle, at least on social media. The narrative around him hasn't recovered. It started with that battle. Again, I just feel like it's one of those things where Meek feels like niggas is clowning him. We all see with Meek's back and forth for academics, like he just feels like. But it's funny because Charlamagne is a known Drake hater, if you will. So, again, but I could see sometimes where there's a narrative and you hear a lot of talking heads having the same narrative about you, and yo, this one just got really under your britches, really grinds your gears. You had to come out and say something. So I really feel like that's the little situation here. But yeah, that's really all I got to say about this right now. Meek, man, make your money, take care of your kids, do your thing in your community, you be straight. Charlamagne is going to be Charlamagne. It is what it is. And again, it wasn't too crazy. He wasn't talking too crazy about you. Now, if I'm Drake, yeah, I got to look at that nigga Charlamagne like, oh, nah, you be doing too much. But anyways, with that being said, it's your friendly neighborhood K.A. signing off for today. The Black TJ Detweiler doing this thing. My name ring bells like Quasimodo. Hit like, subscribe, and hype if you want to hear a little bit more. You heard me and I'm gone. Slimes on P-Shot L's gang. Aye.